Welcome to the Cybersecurity Jeopardy Show, OPSEC Quiz Showdown, Hot Round. All right, so what do Telegram founder Pavel Rove, Breachforms founder Connor Fitzpatrick, suspected Lockbit founder aka Lockbit Sup, Dmitry Korchevev, Joseph James Connor, and Stick Stealer, what do they have in common? To you in the blue, right here. OPSEC, or the lack of OPSEC. Correct. You win a new, nice Debuda sticker. Congratulations. Okay, enough of this shenanigans. My God. OPSEC, operational security, or the lack of operational security. That is the ultimate downfall of threat actor groups and hackers. Now, I've done a few videos talking about OPSEC in the past. In this video, I'm going to be doing a little bit of an OPSEC Showdown 101, which basically means how do you do OPSEC? Why is it important? And doing the opposite of what I'm doing here on YouTube. At this point, I've self-doxed myself. So take all of this advice with a little hints of salt because, well, you know, I don't follow my example. In all seriousness, OPSEC, operational security, it's important. It's a foundational element that's often overlooked within the era of cybersecurity. And in today's video, I'm going to be overviewing OPSEC a little bit more in depth. So OPSEC, operational security, it stems from a military principle, actually, with the core idea stemming from the whole idea of limiting the amount of information that your adversary can get a hold of or know. Now, OPSEC includes anything from the physical level to the digital landscape, with the overall goal of protecting that information and controlling who knows what. Now, in the context of the digital dark web and the hackers, OPSEC often refers to one's physical and digital habits, behaviors, personality, communication, and digital footprint, which can be used as a means of covering up one's identity. And to hackers, concealing or anonymizing your real identity is very important. You are able to continue your operations as long as you are handling your identity well and you're not being caught or put in jail. Now, with the advent of the internet, OPSEC has transitioned and transformed the way that we create, conceal, and maintain our identities online. Although your digital OPSEC is super important, ironically, hackers are often caught with some sort of their physical footprints. Why is OPSEC so hard to implement? I mean, I named those 5 examples in the beginning of this video because they're real-world examples of what hackers do wrong. And as the saying goes, for large-scale enterprises anywhere from you as a user, it only takes one small way for an attacker, a hacker, an adversary group to come in and gain access to your system or information. But the same principle applies the other way around for the bad guys. So it works both directions, the catch-22. And OPSEC is really challenging because it encompasses everything. And if you make one mistake, that could be your letdown. And us humans are inherently fallible. We're following our hardwired habits and behaviors, especially in times of weakness where perhaps we're tired. We maybe overlook something that's small, which can actually play a larger role in discovering your own identity. So one's own OPSEC is imperative to create, maintain, and control. And OPSEC failures lead to hackers obviously exposing their identities, their location, their methods, and maybe perhaps some other critical information. Federal authorities, competing hacking groups, and large-scale companies can leverage OPSEC to their advantage to uncover at least parts of, or if not all, of an attacker or adversary's threat group identities. And really, there's 2 main ways of approaching OPSEC. The first one is discovering and monitoring, mapping the small breadcrumbs or trails that are left behind by a hacker, whether that be something that's physical, communication level, or on the digital landscape. An example of this could be a chain of DNS domains, DNS records, and virtual sock puppets identities that eventually all map together and point back to one's real identity. And this could be perhaps a personal blog site, a personal email address, or maybe this hacker reused leaked passwords, and that password actually was a part of their Facebook account, for example. Take a look at Brian Krebs or Krebs on Security's blog for detailed reports about how he conducts these and oftentimes is able to identify the individuals behind crime groups and ransomware variants and all assortment. The other way that OPSEC failure happens is just one big critical mistake. Now, take a look at the recent Styx Stealer malware, which is a variant of another malware. The developer, who goes by Styx with a 1, is identified as a Turkey-based threat actor. This threat actor was developing and debugging their Stealer malware that they were going to rent out on their own personal machine. And what happens is, well, of course, maybe you have a personal account that's signed into there. So they weren't using an isolated environment, and this allowed a security firm to go in and say, oh, this person is of Turkish nationality. Now, OPSEC ultimately comes down to a layered and threat model maturity approach. Everything from one's physical habits, like you do every day, such as shopping at the same grocery stores, running the same routes, the physical hardware you use, such as your personal phone, laptops, and how you access the internet, whether that's from your home router, the library, to the communication nuances that you have. So, for example, typing yeah as yeah, or okay as okay. Or even your digital habits, like which websites you frequently visit or read, news websites, the OS you use, and finally, of course, how you create, deploy, and operationalize your entire hacking operation. It's all layered, and it's working sort of for and against you, depending on how you look at it. Now, everyone's OPSEC is going to operate at a different level. For example, comparing the recent Telegram founder and CEO Pavel Durov's arrest in France to the suspected Lockbit founder, Lockbit Sup, is probably a little bit not fair because they operate at very different levels. Pavel Durov is a public figure, a well-known figure of Russian nationality descent who has a very high net worth. His OPSEC threat model wasn't necessarily hiding or concealing his identity. I mean, he was the founder of some popular social media networks. It was really more so his physical location, posting various activities on social media in identifiable areas. And it also could have been things that we don't know today, such as him using a cell phone that was tracked, a hardware device, or using even a particular travel company. In comparison, Lockbit Sup operates perhaps at a very different level of the OPSEC threat model maturity, and that is they need to conceal their entire identity to make sure that they can continue their Lockbit ransomware as a service operation. And you and I perhaps have a different OPSEC level as many average consumers. And that's, for example, that you'll post some things on social media, but you're probably not going to publicly post all of your personally identifiable information. So there are different layers of and maturity levels of OPSEC. And really, typically, it's one fatal mistake, or it can be small little mistakes that can be put together, like I've said. So for the OPSEC Showdown 101 tips. I know I'm kind of dumb, but when you think about OPSEC, here's 5 main ideas. And it has nothing actually to do here with technology. And well, it does, but it's more of a high-level way of thinking about it. So number 1 is think about your threat maturity model, specifically the main layers and how you want to operate within those main layers, from physical to communication to digital. Number 2 is creating a separate identity with a concise but small operating procedure, perhaps even writing that out of what that looks like. And this is basically known as a sock puppet or a handle, and never expand, never create or overshare. Just literally stick to the script, and that is your identity, and use completely different devices. Number 3 is always questioning yourself and ensuring that you're separating yourself from your ego. Never place yourself in areas of altered states of consciousness. And oftentimes, when we look at these threat groups, specifically criminal hackers and hacking groups, it's often the ego. They are in emotional states of anger or revenge, and that leads to one slip up, which perhaps could lead to a critical development in an investigation. 4 is just a good principle in life, which is never be lazy. Really, operate with procedure when you are developing your OPSEC, whether that's logging online or how you are shopping at the shopping center, if you're really that paranoid. And 5 is actually taking from enterprise security, one of the buzzwords, which is assume compromise, so zero trust, and try to compartmentalize your data into different categories. So what could maybe be compromised. Like if for example, you had a sock puppet account on a prolific form, make sure that is completely separated from perhaps your other areas of operations. And I don't even know what that may be. But really, all I'm trying to say is assume compromise and try to layer your data. If you want more interesting insights into OPSEC and operationalizing that, I recommend checking out Sam Bent's talk on DEF CON, where he talks about actually being a darknet vendor. And it's a very interesting video that overviews a better way, of course, because he's done it before. With recent news of the Telegram founder, and we're seeing consistent stories of OPSEC failures, this is probably the biggest downfall of all hackers. And there's a reason why we don't know the best hackers, I guess. I mean, it's because they're really, really good at ensuring that they have a consistent model. And basically that means being the complete opposite of someone like me on YouTube, which is a dumb influencer. Even if you are on the defensive or blue team side, it's important to recognize where areas of slip up may be as you are tracking or threat hunting or whatever you're doing. OPSEC is important. So hopefully you've enjoyed Cybersecurity Jeopardy today and learned something new. And until the next time, go get your Debu Da stickers.